For our last session today, which is a conversation with Shikha Tandon, I know many of you are very excitedly waiting for her. For a conversation with her, I would like to invite a very dynamic, young, accomplished professional, Yoshita Agrawal. She's an IIT Delhi gold medalist and a Harvard Business School graduate. She kicked off her career as a BCG consultant. She then transitioned to Pratham, where she made a significant impact in education. Currently, she serves as the Chief of Staff at a Silicon Valley AI startup called Sybill, right? That's right, Sybill. Outside of work, she's an accomplished trekker, having reached Everest Base Camp, and she's a passionate performer. She's in theater as well as dance. So with that, let me welcome Yoshita. Once you are seated for the conversation, you can both of you can take a mic.
It's always fun to get introduced, right? You all of a sudden realize that, oh, life has been fun so far. I would like to introduce Shikha Tandon. I guess a lot of you already know about her and are excited about this Q&A. Shikha is currently the Chief Resilience and Partnerships Officer at Silicon Valley Exercise Analytics, Svexa. And she also serves as Gist of Sports, which is a non-profit organization based out of India, leveraging sports for social upliftment of the Siddhi tribal community. She's an Olympian swimmer and has represented India at 2004 Athens Olympics. This is my first time meeting an Olympian, at two on stage. I'm not nervous at all. She's an Arjuna awardee, and she has won 37 international medals, 146 national medals, and created 75 national records. Shikha competed for almost 15 years and represented India at various international events, such as World Championships, Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, the list goes on. Fun fact, she's currently the national record holder for 50-meter freestyle in India. She has held this record for 25 years, by the way. Shikha holds 2 Masters of Science degrees in Biology and Biotechnology and 3 Bachelors of Science degrees in Biotechnology, Genetics, and Biochemistry. In her professional career, she has combined her academic knowledge with her athletic excellence, and now she worked as the science program lead at the United States Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, and in product management at various fitness wearable and technology companies. Shikha currently lives in the Bay Area with her husband and 2 daughters. I would like to welcome her to stage. I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to clap a lot, but they were, like, every line was a punchline here.
Thank you, Yoshita. Like you said, life has been fun. Sometimes I forget when we have these intros, I forget, oh yeah, that also happened.
So my first question to you, as I was even saying that bio out loud, I was like, what an awesome time would it have been to be working to compete at Olympics and train for that and do all of that. Tell us more about your sports journey.
Sure. So I grew up in Bangalore, and I started swimming at the age of 8. And just to set a bit of context, I hated swimming. It was not something I enjoyed. If any of you all have kids, you know how they all love snacks. I was that kid. I would go to the pool because at the end of the session, they would give you chips and ketchup, and I was there for that. I was not there for the training session. While the actual training was going on, there was a fountain by the pool. I would be walking around the fountain with my finger dipped in, and this was my idea of swimming. That was when I was 8. And I mean, I was always an active kid. I loved being outside, loved playing outside. I loved running. And so I wanted to be a runner. But the program that we went to for me to try and run, they said, you know what, we don't take kids till they're 9. Why don't you come back on your 9th birthday and you can enroll? And I have a younger brother, 2 years younger to me, and he had severe asthma at the time. And so the doctor recommended that he take up swimming to help his lung capacity. So he was being taken to the pool, and I obviously couldn't be left behind at age 8, so I was kind of taken along as well. And one thing led to the other, and I started enjoying swimming. At the age of 9, I won my first national medal. And after the medal ceremony, I'm crying, my mom's crying. Of course, she's crying for happy tears, and I'm crying because, like a typical 9-year-old, I don't like the red color of this bronze medal and the ribbon, and I wanted the yellow one from the gold. And so at that time, Mom told me, she said, I mean, if you really want that yellow ribbon, not the gold medal, the yellow ribbon, you have to work for it. And so for me, from that point, that's something that clicked. And so from that point onwards, that was just something that has always stuck with me, and that's something I have always, it's always there at the back of my mind, that if you want something, pursue it. Have that courage to, take that leap forward, take that leap of faith, take a risk, however you want to frame it. And one thing led to the other. I started representing India when I was 12, was the fastest Indian at the age of 13, including at the seniors, swam at the World Championships at 16, and like Yoshita said, swam at the Olympics when I was 19. And at that time there was, no social media. So when I go to the Olympics, starry-eyed, overwhelmed, extremely nervous 19-year-old, seeing all the people that I have seen in the newspaper, completely starstruck. And so it was definitely an experience that I will cherish and remember. With all those pixelated pictures that I have, it's, I think now when I look back, I'm thankful for those pixelated images, because now the core memories are really inside. But when we talk about journeys, when we talk about, we always think that, people ask me, like, when did you know you wanted to go to the Olympics? You must have known right from the beginning. And that's not true. I did not know anything about the Olympics. Back then, it was not even broadcasted as much, and we were not TV people at home, so I never watched as much of it. I truly started thinking about, wanting to go to the Olympics as a natural progression of my goals. And I went in 2004, but I really started thinking about the Olympics only in the year end of 99, early 2000. And so I was like, let me try for the 2000 Olympics. I missed the qualifying time by half a second. Great, it's there, there's potential, let's aim for 4 years from now. And going for the Olympics, it's something that it's very hard to describe, because I've not come across any other scenario, situation, meetup, networking event, whatever, where you have 10,000 people representing every country on this planet, and every single athlete that you meet and that you see, whether they are, from the US, multiple world record holders, or someone like me going there as a teenager for the first time, everyone is treated equally, okay? Everyone is treated equally, and every single person that you see, is the best at what they do in their country. And it is, when you internalize that, it is just mind-blowing. And to be at that stage, now when I look back, I know what a big deal it was. Back then it was like, oh cool, I'm going for another event. And part of that also mindset was so that you don't get nervous. I mean, we're kind of trained that way also, that think of the Olympics as just another event, so then you're not nervous and you can perform, but it's more than just any other event. And so kind of embracing, milestones, embracing the magnitude of your achievements, embracing how far you've come. And like when you talked about intros, like I never sit and think about all those things. And then now when I look back, that's something I'm trying very consciously to do. Like, look back and applaud yourself, take credit for what you've done. And that will give you courage to take that next step, whatever that might be. So long story short, great experience, learned a lot, and it's something that I carry with me till today.
Would you have any particular experience from a training session where, I don't know, I just think Olympics would be like some training sections will be exceptionally hard, sometimes will be something that sticks to you like the yellow ribbon, but closer to the years in 2000s and 2004s.
Yeah, so like I said, I was the fastest in India when I was 13, so I knew that if I needed to get to that next level, to push beyond what the stage I was already at, I needed to do something different. And so I actually moved to the US for 5 months as a 14-year-old, just so that I could train with kids my age who were faster than me. A result of that was I broke a 16-year-old record and I was 16 years old. And then just before the before the Beijing Olympics in 2008, which I was also trying to qualify for, I knew that I needed to do something different, and the people on the team who were also trying to compete and qualify for 2008, it just so happened that they were all boys. Similar situation to a lot of you all, where the classroom was just you as a girl and all boys. Here it was me and the team, all boys and me. And so by default, the training venue was all boys school in Australia. So I show up there with this group and we train for the Olympics for 3 months in an all boys school in the middle of Brisbane. And so much so that there's no ladies' bathroom because there's no teachers that are women either. And so they had like a few, but it's not at the pool, it's like in the next building. And so these are like the little challenges that, I look back on and I take strength from that. I've done all of that as a teenager, and it's really about reframing the situation and using it to your advantage, whatever that might look like.
Yeah. Okay. The story around the boys' washroom, I felt was like, I guess there's something to be said about taking strength from your past achievements, especially in tough times. It's a lot of us beat ourselves a lot, and just going back and saying, I have been through that, so this is probably much more easier. You have a very non-traditional part to technology. Would you be able to share a bit about your background and some learnings and challenges from this shift?
Yeah, sure. So, growing up as an athlete, now you all know that my degree was in the biosciences, but growing up as an athlete, you're constantly thinking about your body. You're trying to think about what next, how to push yourself just a wee bit more. And so that prompted my education in the biosciences. And being an athlete, I was drug tested a lot. That's just the nature of the game. And I'd seen how the system in India did not work. There were enough times where I have competed against people who have been caught for cheating, but nothing was really done about it because the system to kind of manage all of that didn't exist in a way that it should have. And so that was an area that I wanted to work in, anti-doping science. But back in India, that was not a career option. No one even knew what that even meant. So forget the school counselors or the college counselors. Even my parents didn't know what I was talking about half the time. And I don't think they can still explain what I do today, but that's a different story. So I knew that I needed to do something different, take again that leap of faith. And so I chose to apply for college for a second master's here in the US. And I picked a university and picked a college where I could do a generic biology degree and where I could customize some of my classes and projects to be focused on anti-doping, because there was no such course on anti-doping science either. And when I graduated college, at some point we've all been on visa, so we know that you have a limited number of days, and I knew that this was the only job I wanted to do. So even on that time crunch, I was like, no, knowing my luck, I will get some other job and I will be forced to take it. I don't want it, so I'm not even going to apply. I'm going to put all my effort into, applying at the US Anti-Doping Agency to get this dream job of mine. I opened the careers page and nothing. No jobs at the moment. You can please, send your resume if you want to join us. So I did that. And I think Arjuna said, right, network, talk to the new person every single week. And so I did that. I went to the USADA page. I said, who all work there? How can I get to talk to all of these people? And so now suddenly half the company knows who I am, even though I don't even work there, and all I'm saying is I want to work here. Like, you don't understand, I need to work here. I have come from India and I need to work here. And so anyway, so I got the job as the science program lead over there. And then once I joined, I learned that they had already been thinking about this role, and they had gotten my resume from literally every team in the company. And so that propelled them to, fast track that job posting. And so I was thankful, they were thankful, I got to stay back on my visa and all those kind of fun things. But again, if you want something, go for it. Worst case, you won't get it. Best case, it's the best thing that will ever happen to you. And so that was in Colorado. I worked there for about 5 years, got married, moved to the Bay Area. Obviously, everything here is tech. I didn't know anything about tech. Never thought I would want to work in tech. Everything at that time was, there's an app for it. It did not resonate with me. But fortunately, the wearable industry was just picking up. Product management as a role was also relatively new, so there was a bit of leeway in that. And so some of the work that I had done at USADA, I was able to show those transferable skills to be a PM in one of the up-and-coming wearable tech startups. But the catch there was that you can't just start directly as a PM because you've never been a PM. You need to start as an intern. Now, I've here worked for 5 years, and now I'm starting off as an intern. So when you talk about challenges, right, or failures or learnings, I could have very well said, no, I've worked it for 5 years, I don't want to be an intern. But I knew that I needed to take, that step back, like you said, get a foot in the door. And so sometimes the learning from that was be open to taking that step back, and even if not step back, step to the side. Take a step to the side when you know it is going to offer you an opportunity to, take multiple steps forward. So I did that. I did that at the wearable company, worked again as a PM, and then I knew I wanted to do something more. Startups were then taking off. I was getting more and more interested in startups because I figured I could make have more of an impact. So then I applied for a job at TechCrunch as a PM. So I managed their entire website. Has nothing to do with sport, but everything to do with startups. So when I applied for that, when I got that role, part of the thinking there was, how can I use what I already know, but what else can I add? I have this vision of what I want to do. I can see the world going a certain way. I can see the industry going a certain way. What is that one tool that is missing in my toolbox today? So that was the learning there, that take that role. It has nothing to do with sport. TechCrunch will never write about sport, but I learned a lot about startups. And my current role at Svexa, I don't know if I'm going over time, but just let me know. My current role at Svexa came about because one of the now co-founders was at a conference, and he presented his work, and I really enjoyed what he presented. So I went up to him after and I said, loved what you did. If you ever do something more with this, please let me know. And there was no company at the time. And then almost a year and a half later, he was one of 4 co-founders that founded Svexa, partly based on that work. And he remembered me because no one else had gone up to him after and said, if you ever do something with this, call me. So he called me. And the next day I joined Svexa in a limited role because obviously they were a four-person company at the time. So I continued to do my work at TechCrunch, and then as the company grew, my role there also evolved, and now I'm there full-time. And even in terms of partnerships, right, when I now look back, and it's on paper, it's yes, I did science, yes, I did product, now I'm doing partnerships. So it makes no sense. But the way I look at it, and the way I have, when you sell yourself and sell your skill set, that's how it's, what is that story? What are those dots that you are connecting, and how can you share that same vision with someone else, right? Whether it's a company, whether it's a product, whether it is your own skill set and what value you can bring to that company. So it's like, yes, I've been an athlete, I understand that. I have worked in anti-doping, so I understand this concept of slow progression, always playing cat and mouse with, policies and things like that. Now worked in wearables, I understand product, and now my role in partnerships is not so much about sponsorships, but now I am working with other clients and other companies, leadership in other companies in sport, health, and fitness, and I am leveraging that product skills around strategy and vision and sharing that vision and, you know, all of that, helping them drive their companies to version 2 of what they can be. And now, of course, there's AI, and so, you know, that adds a whole level of excitement to all of this. But long story short, I'm constantly doing different things, and when I'm thinking about these different things, it might look very haphazard, but it is all with the sole intention of what value is it bringing to my existing skill set, and how can collectively that add value to whoever I am talking to or whoever I am working for or working with.
If I may have a follow-up question
Yes.
to that. Given that there have been so many, I would say, pivots, as Meenakshi said, it's important to pivot in life. Given that there have been so many pivots, what are you feeling that you're building towards?
So I love, you know, as an athlete, you're constantly pushing, you're constantly at that edge, right? You don't sit still. When you plateau and you don't improve your time, you begin to feel frustrated. And so that is something that has continued on in my career as well. I can't sit still. And so I need to be challenged. I love being challenged. And so when I seek out something, it is something that is fueling that side of me.
Thank you. About not sitting still, I just remembered a story you told me outside. I asked her, and I would let you tell the story itself. I'll just tell the question I asked her outside. Was after years of competing for Olympics and being in the sports world and having so much excitement, you know, you have to reach the finish line, like it's 1 second, half a second, so much excitement. How is it to sit on a desk and work on a computer? How can you, like, possibly after years and years of that, make that change in your life? And I would let you.
Yeah, so well before the laptop and the work, that's what I was telling her outside as well, that, I mean, when I was training for the Olympics, I was at national camps multiple months in a year. I was in the US a couple of times as well. And so I was missing a lot of school, missing a lot of college. But, you know, the onus was on me to kind of keep up and stay up to date, and that was kind of the understanding that I had with the academic side of things. But when I moved to the US, and also in India, the concept of note-taking is very different, right? The teachers dictate whatever and you write, and in India, because I wasn't attending, my friends would give me their notes and I would basically study that, go do the exam, and all is well. Come here and I'm sitting in a classroom and I realized on day one, I don't forget sitting there, I don't know how to take notes. I have never taken notes, and so that was a learning curve. So I think part of it is also, you know, being open to going back to being a beginner in some aspects and really embracing it for what it is. And so these are some of the challenges, but then when you know, I think someone here mentioned about like being able to speak up, and if you're the only woman in the room, and we talked a little bit about failure. And so I think it's all about perception. How can you reframe something? And as the only woman in the room, sometimes you are bringing that really unique perspective. Like everyone else is probably saying the same thing, but it's you that is bringing something unique, and keep telling yourself that, reminding yourself that. So it's the same thing with this whole note-taking and sitting still, right? Like what is the point of this? Why am I doing this? And is there learning in this? And the learning was that I learned how to think very differently, because now I'm having to listen, but also, you know, evaluate and come up with my own ideas. And I think that helps me in my work a little bit today, where I'm not typing out sentences. I have little scraggly notes, but, you know, that allows me to have the points or the dots, and then I can go back and think about how I'm going to, you know, connect all of these together.
Okay. Okay. I do have one question which I think is awesome. On the panels today as well, on each of the panels we had somebody from sports. I would like to know from the audience how many of us have thought of sports as an integral part of our lives at some point in our journey? Yeah. So it's a lot. And there's a survey that found that majority of women in leadership have played sports at some point in their lives. what are some transferable skills in your journey as a sports person that you apply to in your role today? I think you answered some bit of this.
Yeah, and I'll keep it quick just because we're short of time. But one is obviously the whole goal setting, the time management, the resilience, discipline, all of that, right? That anybody needs wherever you're working, you need all of that to run a business. And the beauty about swimming as a sport is that you train as a team, but you compete as an individual. So the same thing applies at work, right? Where you are doing your own work, but you're part of this larger team. And when you think about how that whole wheel is moving forward, we talked about the soft skills and the hard technical skills. But here, think of it like a wheel with multiple spokes, right? Where in sport, it's not just you as the athlete, it's your coach, it's your physio, it's your parents, it's your friends, it's this whole support system. And when you're thinking about performance, you're constantly, reevaluating, making changes, modifying. And so all of these skills come naturally to me because I've done it day in and day out from a sports lens, and I now transfer that here. And even from a partnerships perspective, when I talk about at work, it's the same thing like a coach and an athlete relationship. You have to build that trust, you have to build that relationship, you share a vision. So when I'm going out for partnerships, I'm not necessarily just selling something, I am working with them to build something together. And the way the business is set up is when they win, I win. So it's, I keep tapping into that coach-athlete relationship when I'm speaking to leaders in other companies.
On that note, I'll open it up to the audience. I see one question there.
My name is Deepthi, and I have a quick question. When you mentioned that you moved from Colorado to Bay Area and started out as your intern, what were your first few thoughts when you got the opportunities?
Thank God I got a job. That was the first thought, because it was hard, and hard because the Bay Area is very tech intensive, and a lot of people here have that very traditional path to tech, and so a lot of the recruiters could not understand where to put me. They could not understand what skills I'm bringing and how that transfers to whatever job description they're looking at. So my first thought was, I have a job. But two, it was, again, use this as an opportunity. It's something brand new. And in hindsight, being that intern, I had to do a lot of different things. And so that helped me understand the product very, very differently, very, very holistically than someone who was, just coming in as a PM with either an engineering or a, design background. And so I think it helped, and I embraced it and I made the most of it.
Thank you.
Basically, hard work never goes to waste, right? And that's something we learned even in swimming. So whether you're doing the work of an intern, you're learning. And if you can appreciate that and approach it with that intention and that mindset, it will go a long way.
I have the next question for you. So it's more of a curiosity. All throughout this, I was thinking, how much of sports is a part of your life now? Because you've moved so much. Do you still kind of have that, I go for swimming? Because, that's one of the hardest things with the fast life, to find time. And especially, I heard you have family, kids. How much of that you have taken
I was joking
along?
with someone here that my cardio is chasing the kids because they're 3 and 6 and my strength training is picking them up. But no, it is about, balance. For me, balance is very important. As much as I talk about I can't sit still, for me, balance is very important. And part of that comes from, yes, I was a swimmer, but that's not my identity. I derive from that part of my life, but it's exactly that. It was a part of my life. And so even work today, I love it. I love my job. I love what I do, but it is that. It is work, and it is one aspect of my life. And that helps me keep that balance, because home, whatever's happening with the kids, whatever's happening at home is very important to me. And I keep that separation. And when I did that as an athlete, it allowed me to transition from being a competitive athlete to transitioning to not being a competitive athlete. And a lot of folks struggle with that simply because their identity is their sport, their identity is their athlete, their identity is their work. And so if you can separate them, not saying one is necessarily more important than the other, if it is, great, but if you can keep that separation, I feel it helps me balance it out.
Here.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Raj Gandasri. I just have a comment. Last night I was watching Chandu Champion, saw the Olympian on the movie screen, but I never knew I would see a Olympian today. So it's really a funny coincidence. I mean, a good coincidence. And speaking of, somebody's asking athletics. I run full marathons, if that counts as sports and athletics. So it helps a lot in various other things too of life, being active in. So I just want to make a comment. And,
Yeah,
nice seeing
absolutely.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, Shikha. Thank you so much for this engaging and authentic conversation.
Thank you.
My name is Priya. I'm from IIT Bombay, 2006. My question to you is, how has your definition or perspective of success emerged over all these years in life, from a medal to getting a job or, many other things from your personal experiences and professional? How do you see a successful and accomplished life today?
I'll give you a bit of background here as well, right? So when I was a swimmer, and I don't know how this is going to come across, but after a while, the medals stopped mattering, right? I have a bunch of national medals. After, I think, age of 12 or 13, they stopped mattering. It was just one more to the collection. And for me, what really drove success and how I measured my own success was, am I improving my time? And so it was me against me against the clock. It didn't matter whether the medal was gold, silver, or a bronze. And so for me, that definition of success still holds true today. Am I moving forward? Am I learning? Am I staying engaged? Am I contributing? Am I adding value? And so it's not, am I doing more than somebody else? It has never been that. But am I doing enough to keep me happy, satisfied, sleeping at night, not overdoing it? And so I think the definition has not necessarily changed. It's just now the metrics that I use to measure that definition are different.
Do we have a minute? Okay. No, it's fine then. Thank you so much for this chat. I think it was one of the very authentic, refreshing conversations I would want to end my Friday night with. Hopefully I continue this amount of energy I have in my body because of your talk right now on a Monday morning as well. I think that would be extremely great week. But thank you so much, and just great words. There was a lot around this continuous hunger to be learning more, and that satisfaction with change in this chat as well. That was very inspiring.
Yeah, and I leave you with one thing to do, one little exercise, right? And we always talk about passion, and we think about, oh, you must have loved swimming in the beginning. So people are confused when I say, no, I hated it. And part of, when we think about passion, we think that, oh, it was love at first sight, and it was like something that to be successful at something, I have to really love it as soon as I do it. But that's not true. That was the case for me with swimming, that was the case for me with tech. Now I love the job I do. So and a lot of times how we analyze something and interpret something is based on the knowledge that we have in that moment, in that time. Our ideas are all shaped by that. So I would tell everyone here today, go back on the weekend, whenever, and just revisit something that you didn't necessarily like in the past. Revisit with a different perspective, revisit with a different idea, and see if that changes, how you want to approach it. And that's something that has worked for me. So that's, one little exercise for the weekend.
On that note, I think I can give the mic back to Yoshita.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very big thank you for Shikha to join us all. And that was a very awesome session. We learned so much about your experience and how we can apply it to our leadership journey. You guys left, but I had gifts for you. I would like to thank the entire audience, all the insightful questions. that the audience asked, and look forward to seeing you at our next women's club. So a bit of a heads up, the captain of the US women's cricket team has said yes to doing an event with us. So look forward to a notice coming up perhaps early next year or perhaps later this year. So thank you all once again. Go ahead and network, and please have the snacks that we have laid out for you. And the speakers will be available for you to talk with and ask more questions.